learn that rule in elementary?
Hello, Detroit. On Tuesday, November 4th, a general election is scheduled to elect the mayor and other city officials. Please return your absentee ballot by mail, drop box, or at the Department of Elections. Polls open at 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Election Day. You can ride the DDOT buses to the polls for free. To find your polling place, visit our website or call 313-876-0190. So let your voice be heard and vote.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabria, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Week That Was. I'm Saeed Khan, and happy Halloween in advance to everyone. All Hallows Eve, shall we say. Some of you probably remember back when October the 30th here in Detroit was also known as Devil's Night. And we have certainly, and certainly not out of fear of Trump deploying the National Guard here, certainly moderated quite a bit. That doesn't mean, of course, that there's not a lot of drama and trauma this week. And guess what? Over the weekend, we get to go ahead and move our clocks back 1 hour, which means, as I read in a meme, that one more hour of 2025 is like having a bonus track on a Yoko Ono album. There you go. Screech all you like. Yes, thank you to that meme that provided that. Well, if you weren't scared enough already, word comes from none other than off again, on again presidential advisor Steve Bannon, who has been floating the idea of a third Trump term. Despite, of course, and we are now joined by our third of our troika of attorneys, Steve Fishman, just in time. The idea that despite the fact that the Constitution up till now has been interpreted, including the 22nd Amendment up till now, to preclude a president from serving more than 10 years or being elected to 2 full terms. Somehow the other, it seems as though Bannon has a plan. And what's also kind of startling, though not surprising perhaps, is how little GOP pushback there is to this. Not even saying, oh, well, it's the usual kidding around or jocularity. Can you not take a joke, America? So for our attorneys who are esteemed and well vested in interpreting the Constitution, this is sort of like a troika Supreme Court that we have here. What say you?
Wait, did somebody shoot somebody?
You indicated anybody. I'm not educated. I assume you meant Steve and Joel.
Listen, there's 28 amendments. You guys can take 9 each and 2 articles each. So there you go.
It's like unimaginable, like everything else that I've been saying. Would that mean that Obama can run against him for the real WWE championship?
Wow.
But that would be something. But no, the law says he can't do it, but that doesn't seem to impede him for very much. So, God knows what could happen. For on to full, if we continue to slide into, authoritarianism and fascism, of course, he'll have another term. He'll be, forever, but it's unimaginable.
Steve.
Maybe I missed it, but I thought that all that conversation was a few days ago. And since that time, it seemed to me, I read a couple of columns where he conceded that he can't do it. He's the type of guy, you guys know this has been his entire career. He likes to throw shit out there and see if stuff sticks and keep moving things around. I don't think maybe Steve Bannon is, but he's probably just bullshitting too. Almost everything, guys. Almost everything that comes out of them now, going back to the big scandal that Kash Patel announced supposedly about basketball, for God's sake. It's all just thrown out there for public consumption. I don't think any of it. You can't tell what's serious and what's not. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with Steve. But look, I want to go back to what Joel said. I think that the real fear is what we're seeing with him sending federal monitors out to New York and California. And there's a lot of speculation that we're going to see an executive order in which they say that the feds, we're going to federalize all elections. I think the serious and bigger risk is that we won't have an election, that he will declare that things are so screwed up we can't have an election because we can't guarantee they're going to be fair, and I'm going to have to stay for a while. I think that's the kind of stuff that could happen. Will it happen? I don't know.
But Bill, if there's,
I don't think you can exclude any possibility with this guy.
If elections are really handled at the state level, and if the states decide to go through with the elections, then are you saying that? At what point can he gum up the system? Is it instructing Congress not to certify the election? Is that what happens? Or is that just more of a formality, not getting the Electoral College to convene?
I think what you would see is something like what happened when when we had to enforce the terms of the Civil Rights Act, and we had to send federal monitors in to take, to monitor state elections. There's a process in which, under the law, you could declare that people's civil rights were being violated. This guy declares that about white people all the time. If you notice, they have a very limited number of immigrants that they're going to allow under asylum and
refugee status, cutting down from 125,000 to I think 7,000, and they're all going to be South Africans.
They're all white people.
Yeah, and they're all South Africans and white people, right?
Yeah.
If he declares that, if he uses those kinds of powers to declare a problem, and the Supreme Court doesn't say, "Wait a minute, you got to prove there actually is one," we're going to be in trouble.
One other thing, though, I think we're going to get a pretty good. I agree with what Bill's saying about the possibility of bad things happening in 28. But hopefully we're going to get some kind of indication as to these off-year elections in 26, because they're going to try to screw with those too, right?
The midterm.
And I think we'll see how that works and how that goes. You're looking at things. North Carolina's got some fascinating stuff going on there. There's a lot of effort being made, it seems to me, into turning what Bill's talking about in 28. It might not be suspending the electoral process, but the things that they may do to tamper with the electoral process is what we're going to be watching, I think, and we'll just have to see where it goes.
Well, you're right, Steve. Trump may have dialed down the rhetoric or regarding a third term, but it looks like he's just simply shifted gears to talk about deploying the military into U.S. cities. So I don't know if this is, as you were saying, Bill, related to the idea of jeopardizing elections by having a military presence there. But what about this idea that now the Posse Comitatus Act is being rendered almost null and void?
No.
We're going to have to rely eventually. We're going to have to rely on the United States Supreme Court at some point saying, enough, or genug already, as we would say in Yiddish. Right. And if that doesn't happen, I'm with Joel. If the U.S. Supreme Court allows this kinds of stuff to happen, we've had federal judges all across the country that are putting a stop to it, that are issuing orders. But ultimately, it's going to come to the Supreme Court. And if they were to rule, for instance, that he could have a third term, then what the fuck? Where are we? You know what I'm saying?
Steve, I haven't updated my Babbel subscription. What was that Yiddish word?
Genug.
Genug means nothing.
Genug.
Okay. Ask Lengel about it. He heard it plenty when he was a kid. Genug
or unique.
My Uncle Max.
Enough.
Yeah, it's enough.
What is that? Is that the feminine form, Gani?
No, they would say that, and it's like, gay Max, just go away. That was also like,
my mother
allowed Uncle Max.
Unique.
Okay, go ahead.
This all sounds best in its original Urdu, but okay. All right. No, I think that this idea of the president now seemingly getting so bellicose, deploying troops on or considering it on American soil. But what seems to be now almost a runaway train with Venezuela, just short of declaring war. And in fact, I think yesterday the president was asked, why not go ahead and get Congress to authorize a declaration of war against Venezuela, something that hasn't happened in this country since in 84 years, the declaration of war by Congress. Last time it happened was with Japan. And the president says, oh, it's just not necessary. And we can kill people.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much more scholarly the language can be than that. But this idea that it seems that Maduro is now in the line of sight, he's being called the Al-Qaeda of the West, and the administration is hell-bent on going to war in what seems to be as phony a war as some of the ones that we've had during the Cold War. Steve?
The thing, the obvious thing is what you're saying, but the thing that gets me the most is that I can't keep count of how many different attacks they've made on these boats. One would think that they'd bring forth at least a shred of evidence that said that these are actual dope dealers and dope boats. They have not brought forth one word about it. And I read something in the paper this morning that seemed like there was a congressional meeting, and basically they stonewalled, the committee that does their stuff in private. I can't remember the name of the committee, but whatever it was, they were also ticked off afterward because they couldn't get any answers, even in the kind of meeting that's nobody can talk about it. It's not going to be out in the public. It's amazing to me that they wouldn't just bring in three guys or their dead bodies or whatever, or somebody from either the CIA or the whoever it is that's going in there to say, hey, this is Diego Garcia and he's a dope dealer and here's why, blah, 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 blah. They've not even made an attempt to do that, which tells you what they think about the rule of law.
Correct. And they have no need, from what we're seeing, they have no need to do that so far. So why do it at all? I mean, the complete disrespect of law, it's absurd to me that you're killing whoever you're killing illegally. These are war crimes. You have no right to do it. There's no due process. No right if they're guilty, not guilty. It's not even a capital offense what they're doing. It's a reflection that Trump has no respect for anybody, including his base. And the rule of law is whatever he decides it to be. He's a mob boss.
Mm-hmm.
He's the big honcho, man. But he says goes, and he is the law. That's how he sees it. And so far, that's proven to be true.
Barb.
Oh,
you are muted.
How can we think we're on mute when we do this?
Now you're more muted. Okay.
No, you're still muted.
No, Barb, we don't have it. Yeah, we don't have any volume for you. Nancy, while she's coming back in.
I feel like saying replay.
Isn't there something a little weird that we keep blowing these boats out of the water, claiming that they're drug dealers, and it turns out they have something like 10 or 15 crew on board, or 10 or 15 human beings on board? Mm-hmm. If you're going to bring drugs out on a boat through the ocean to the United States, don't you want to maximize the cargo space and minimize the human space? I mean, it just seems crazy to me. Why take up space with all these bodies when you can put another couple of bales of cocaine in there?
That's reasonable, Nancy, but all of these boats really do need a social director on board because it gets very lonely.
Oh, they get the band going and all that, as I remember, Venezuelans are, as I remember on the Love Boat, you had Julie, and actually Lauren Tooze, the actress who played Julie, developed a cocaine addiction. So there may be something to the social director thing.
Great backstory.
There you go. That 70s pop culture still stays alive, Joel.
Thank you.
But where is the pushback from the Democratic Party in this country? Where's the pushback from the international community? I mean, it seems as though at least there ought to be some countries dialing in at the United Nations. Allan?
The Democrats seem so inept. They're so afraid to be perceived as like, oh, we're not tough on crime. Here he is cracking down. I mean, you can do both. You can say, look, we don't want drugs. We don't want fentanyl coming into the country, but there's a way to do it that's lawful. We're all for, we're for protecting our borders. We're all for legal immigration, but everything is being done out of the box, out of bounds. And they need to be able to be more forceful in expressing themselves. They're letting it go because they're so fearful that, oh my God, we're going to be perceived as like pro-crime and whatever. It's just bullshit, you know.
I hate to take this position, but let me tell you what I think the political problem with that argument is. Both sides, the Republicans and Democrats, for generations, have agreed to kick these issues down the road. The immigration issue, the drug issue, they just agreed to kick it down the road. So now the Democrats say, oh, there's a way to do this, but you got to do it legally. And the Republicans get to say, yeah, how come you didn't do it during the last 6 administrations? And MAGA, actually, Trump can say, yeah, the Republicans and Democrats, when they were working together, didn't do any of this stuff. I'm the only guy. And it feeds his narrative. And I think that's why the Democrats aren't taking those positions anymore.
Well, we have an interesting comment from a member of the audience who says that he feels as though the president doesn't want to be president any longer, that he's going to go ahead and grift as much as he can for as long as he can, and then retire laughing all the way to Mar-a-Lago. Thank you, Alex.
I think Alex is absolutely correct. I mean, I think he is stealing with both hands. I mean, at least on in the first term, he kept his hands under the table. Now they're right out in front. They've got these crypto schemes going. They've got these, this fucking ballroom. They should call it like the money laundry ballroom. I mean, it's
that's exactly what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny. I'm the last American. We're the last American couple to watch Ozark on Netflix, which we started a couple of weeks ago. It's a great show, but it's all about laundering drug money. And I think what he's doing here is he's going to walk out of the White House with not only all this money in his pocket, but probably the silver too. And, because it was relocated from the East Wing. So, he'll be 83 at some point. His 80th birthday is in June. So he'll be 82. And I mean,
which probably coincide with the first event at the ballroom.
Right. Yeah, no doubt. So, I mean, I think I can't imagine what more does he want? I mean, he's got the whole world paying attention to him. He's got people, his enemies are upset. Everything, everything's going his way. I just can't imagine him wanting another 4 years of this, but who knows?
I mean, it's so brazen what they're doing. The Wall Street Journal lays out a whole thing about his family benefiting from the crypto with the cryptos and blood, and benefiting with these crooked crypto people have gone to prison. And you ask yourself, who can stop this? Previously, the DOJ would have investigated. The FBI would have investigated, but we have Kash Patel and Pam Bondi, who there's no way. The only way is if the Democrats get a majority in either the House or the Senate and start conducting their own hearings and doing their own investigations, because he's got a free ride right now.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting about that, Alan, is that there was just a report yesterday that the DOJ has redacted the report regarding January the 6th of one individual and what he did to really tamp down the severity of what happened. I mean, factually it is correct, but there's no causation. It's almost like they hit the button on Microsoft Word and change everything into passive voice. So there is this effort, and I mean, for historians and for just even run-of-the-mill Americans, this era is going to be heavily, heavily distorted. What they won't shred, they're just simply going to go ahead and redact. Bill, you're nodding about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's clear. I think that they are reinventing America and reinventing history. They're trying to eliminate any examination of our history in terms of slavery. I think that they want to wipe out anything that doesn't paint white Americans as true-blooded Americans. I mean, even if you look at these posters that they're putting out, the Department of Labor's putting out, they look like Nazi posters from 1940. I mean,
I would correct you on that. They look like it's Soviet realism is what it is, and I'm sure it's all done by AI. Did you happen to read anything about that recently, Bill? Because I just saw a column in the Sun-Times about those very posters, those Department of Labor
that was
posters.
the article that I read.
Yeah, Neil Steinberg wrote it. It was really good. But he's talking about that they seem to, they're trying to create this sort of Dick and Jane level America, and then it's stuff like protect your homeland and God, what are some of the other ones that a dream worth fighting for, and so forth. It's
it's amazing. They're all white,
horrible,
and they all have haircuts that look like they're from the 1950s.
I mean, it's socialist realism. It's wild.
Well, the acting director of ICE, Todd Lyons, actually is going around purposely photographed in long black leather trench coats. So I don't know how much more evocative that could be. But speaking of white, and doing a little bit of an audible from the show, J.D. Vance, our esteemed vice president, made some news at a Talking Points event, both for his attitudes toward his wife and his attitudes at perhaps his future wife. As far as the current wife, Usha, current wife Usha, saying, acknowledging that she isn't white, and claiming that some white supremacists have had an issue with that, except I don't really regard him being very chivalrous in his defense. But also acknowledging that she's not Christian, but hoping that she will one day see the light, as he did after announcing that he was running.
Said this in public about his own wife. Unbelievable.
It gets worse, Nancy. It's about
What's
to get
unbelievable
worse.
about it, Nancy?
Yeah, and then he had hugs that are usually reserved for one significant other, or the locker room after you win the Super Bowl, with the widow Erica Kirk, leaving then a lot of suspicion that maybe he's switched his Eye of Sauron to now only have an Eye of Sauron for her.
Oh my God!
I'm
a
a hugger. If you
Yeah.
meet me, I'm a hugger. I love my friends. I love my male friends. There are things that you do. You don't, when you're hugging your friend, you don't reach up and like run your hands through their hair. And the person that's hugging you should probably not hold you around your lower waist all the way to your butt with this much space between you.
Yeah, it's
And hold the
affectionate.
gaze, and hold the gaze for longer than 12 Mississippis. Yeah.
It's foreplay on the stage. It's the most unbelievable. And she's wearing leather pants as a widow does.
right.
Yeah.
Black
Black.
pants.
But they were black. They were mournful black.
It's these people. It just, and they talk about values and family and morality, and it just
Words.
And the people that I know that are MAGA are like this. What's wrong?
Yeah. What's
Poor
the big
Erica.
deal?
She misses Charlie.
Yeah. She misses that warmth. Wow, that's amazing.
She has needs.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, I have needs too, and that's to never see that again.
And it's been a whole month since they've been met.
But I mean, Vance representing the paragon of virility. I mean, is that?
Oh, that it's gross.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, she married Charlie Kirk. I mean, so I mean, there's that there. So.
But I find it an interesting thing that Vance seems to be going from one alpha male to the other when it comes to their coattails. I mean, here he latched on to Trump, and now it seems as though he's latching on to the ghost of Charlie Kirk, and sort of sliding into his DMs there. Yeah, Barb.
I have a real question here. Is like Trump was filmed wandering around the Japan embassy, saluting the Japanese flag, having to be grabbed back and walked in the correct way. He's dancing for no reason.
We have a video.
Off his neck in the locker room. I've never seen someone dance with only their arms. He looks like he took dance lessons from one of those old boxing nun puppets.
I was gonna say it looks like Ellen DeGeneres with Saint Vitus dance, but okay.
It's really clear that he is his brain has been melting for months, but he is really So who is running this show? Does JD want to make sure he's
Stephen
got
Miller.
the lights?
Stephen Miller and
Stephen
JD
Miller.
Vance and Don Jr. I think
Stephen
are
Miller's the
the
villain.
troika.
And
He's the
And
wizard.
Peter Thiel.
what's his name? Was it
And Peter
Colin
Thiel.
Kinkles is just wandering around, and then they're changing the things that he does right away. And who is calling out on it? Is it the New York Times or the Washington Post, or is it any of the news? I mean, it's so maddening to watch this happen. And Stephen Miller's wife goes on a screaming fit on, what was that, the Piers Morgan
I think
show?
so on the Piers Morgan show. So you have all of his satrapies that are out there, but one can't go ahead and conceal what he says himself or blame it on AI. I don't know if anyone saw his little press conference with Chinese Premier Xi Jinping, after which on Air Force One, Trump claimed that the meeting went so well it was even. On a scale of 1 to 10, it was even 1 beyond Spinal Tap. It was a 12.
It was a 12. Yeah.
But it was interesting to watch Xi Jinping's reactions. He played it very, very cool. And despite the American spin on it, it looks as though the Chinese kind of got us because they're playing the long game, and they just simply mollified things by getting really what they wanted, which was a reduction in tariffs. They got soybean, which they wanted to purchase anyways, not at a higher cost. So what does it say about the departure of reality when it comes to Trump, and maybe even more broadly, a disease in the American media, accepted here, that we're still winning around the world?
I don't think that's the perception.
No, I don't either. I think Trump is the greatest thing that ever happened to places like China and
Russia.
Yeah, and just all the bad people in the world think this guy is great. Because
no, Nancy, I'm sorry. I meant we as a country still drink the Kool-Aid that America is number one.
Oh,
I know.
Yeah, I
gave that a while ago.
can only think that maybe there's acid in the water now, or mescaline.
Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense that that people hang on to this notion that we're a great superpower. Look, I believe in my family and I believe in my country, but I believe in calling it like it is. And when my kids do something wrong, I tell them, look, I'm sorry, I don't think that's right. And they do that to me, and I feel that way about my country. We are not a good friend to our allies.
Yep.
We are not a good steward of freedom.
Yep.
And I don't think we can make those claims. We're an embarrassment. I've traveled extensively through Europe in the last year, and I'll tell you, I spend more time apologizing for what my passport says than I do anything else when I begin conversations. And it's awful. I feel very badly about that. I mean, I love the American people, but I think that our government and a large chunk of our population drank the Kool-Aid, and that we are very, very, very close to being the same as the Germans who fell into Nazism in 38, from 38 to 46. I just think that's the reality.
I think the one thing we have to, I keep saying the same thing over and over again. The one thing we have to keep in mind, and this is what makes it a little bit different than Germany in the 30s, there's a significant, we sit here and we have these conversations. We say, how is it possible that anybody could blah, 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 blah. Why do we say that? We say it because we're informed and because we get information from reliable sources, from reliable newspapers, reliable whatever it is. I think that the biggest problem we have here, and it's going to get worse and worse as the young people who are all addicted to their phones and addicted to social media, there's not that many people out there that are serious people anymore. And so
why? Why? Yeah.
I think it's part of it is because of Trump and them, but part of it is just because of the nature of the society. There's not enough there's no requirement that people have to get information from a source that actually means something. If you were to go on, I don't go online. I mean, I don't have, I got a flip phone, but from what I understand. People come up with the most ridiculous, and they think they're facts. They think that they are facts. And I think that's part of what you're saying. People who still think, oh, America, the greatest country in the world, they haven't listened to a serious news broadcast or read a serious news article in 10 years. You know, and that's just the way I look at it.
But I think MAGA and the extreme right is far more responsible for that than we give credit for. I think it happens on both sides, but I think that there's been a systematic attempt to go after the media so that ABC doesn't produce the kind of stories that it used to. NBC doesn't produce. Why? Trump sues them. They take the knee. They do the same thing to the universities. I think all of that has had, and the law firms, all of that has had a dramatic impact that make people believe the bullshit that they read online, because it's not only that the bullshit's online, it's what we used to view as reliable media isn't so reliable anymore. They don't want to take the risk. There's not going to be a Walter Cronkite moment where Cronkite says, I was fooled. The Vietnam War is wrong, and here's the video. They don't want to take those risks against Trump.
It's entertainment.
Comedians are the only people telling the truth about this administration.
I think one of the brilliance of Donald Trump has been his ability to devalue the currency of truth. And it's gotten to the point where people don't care about the truth. He can see something, he can say something. He talks out of his ass half the time. His statistics are way off, and people do not care. We didn't have a president before. When a president said something, that was, as they say in Yiddish, the emes. If it was a public statement, usually, not always, but many times, particularly talking about facts, but he's done such a good job. And, I grew up my whole life wondering, having parents who were Holocaust survivors, wondering, how did that happen in Germany? How was Hitler able to rise? And you realize you're seeing it now here. You're seeing ignorance. You're seeing people overriding the truth, and the people don't care about the truth. They're not concerned about it.
In one of my classes this week, I showed the first 4.5 minutes of season 1, episode 1 of The Newsroom, where Jeff Daniels, as news anchor Will McAvoy, gives his monologue.
Hated it. Go ahead.
and talks about this whole idea about America not being number one, and part of it is because we're no longer a well-informed public.
Right.
So for that reason, Alan, let's go to a commercial right now.
All right.
Hello, Detroit. This is Deputy City Clerk Andre Gilbert, reminding you that early voting begins Saturday, October 25th, and runs through Sunday, November 2nd. You can cast your ballot at one of our 9 early vote centers from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. In this general election, we will elect the mayor, city council, city clerk, and other city officials who will shape our future. To find the location nearest to you, or to learn more, visit us at detroitmi.gov/elections or call us at 313-876-0190. I'd like to personally invite you to our Party at the Polls block party on Saturday, October 25th from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. at 2978 West Grand Boulevard, as we proudly kick off early voting. Let your voice be heard and vote early. Our future is in your hands.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabria, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings will be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
Well, and perhaps one act of defiance of President Trump by his own party members, it looks as though the president's nomination for ambassadorship to Kuwait is in a little bit of jeopardy by members of his own political party in the Senate. Mayor of Hamtramck, Amir Ghalib, seems to be, how can we even put this, just bleeding support in the Senate Judiciary Committee meetings over his nomination. It seems as though not only Texas Senator Ted Cruz, but others are starting to join the bandwagon to oppose this nomination based on certain social media remarks or retweets that Ghalib has made. Allan, I know that you've been following what's been going on in Hamtramck for some time. What are you hearing?
Well, I did exchange with the mayor. He said he's, basically he's not dropping out, but there's criticism coming from both sides and strong criticism. I mean, Ted Cruz, which tells me, I mean, look, he was a Democrat. He was comforted by, he had socially conservative views on gays and all that. And so he was comforted by the Republican Party. He got swept up in it. He started campaigning for Trump, helping to shore up some votes. And so I think Trump said, all right, here's your payoff. But Trump is not, the idea that Republicans are going against him and you're not hearing a lot of pushback from the White House is basically Trump saying, here, I did what I could, but you're not going to make it. He, a lot of the stuff, some of the stuff he made some comments over time on Facebook, but he says when people made kind of inflammatory remarks on his Facebook page, he just acknowledged it with a like. And so they kind of got him for that and said, well, you like this outrageous, anti-Semitic or racist comment. Why did you do that? He's, and then he said for Bernie Sanders, he was pushing for Bernie Sanders in the primary, and he said, let's pray for the Jew. And I know he doesn't mean anything by that, but it sounds bad. And
he seems amazingly unsophisticated and really underprepared for this.
He's a smart guy, but he's just catching up. I mean, when you go to Washington, it's a whole other level than Hamtramck.
Yeah, I mean, it's many levels above.
Yeah. I mean,
it's like comparing Kuwait to, I don't know, the ambassadorship of Japan.
But I don't think he's going to make it because it's increasingly. I think there's going to be at least 4. I don't know if it's even going to get out of the committee.
Right.
I think there already are 5. And I think that the odds of not having given the green light, at least 3 of the people Republicans who have said that they would vote against are people who've already taken the knee and kissed the inner ring. And it's clear to me that they got approval to do that from Trump before they did it, because they tend not to ever come out against Trump.
Right.
So, so I think Trump just went, look at it, and it's not uncommon. Trump doesn't support non-white nominees in the same way he supports his white nominees.
Right.
It just
or you have a nominee, Bill, who doesn't have that kind of baggage, like say Dearborn Heights Mayor Bill Bazzi, whose nomination for ambassadorship to Tunisia pretty much slid through. But I think the point that you're making, I mean, in this election cycle, and particularly as we're seeing the rhetoric regarding Mahmoud Mamdani, a name that Andrew Cuomo still can't pronounce or refuses to, for mayor of New York. The New York Post and others are literally throwing everything but the kitchen sink at Mamdani to discredit him. In fact, one of the things that they said is that he apparently lied about the story that he told of his aunt who suffered discrimination on 9/11, saying, he lied, it really wasn't his aunt. But anybody knows that a South Asian will call any friend or acquaintance of their parents an uncle or an aunt just out of respect.
It is not something that is limited to South Asians. It's like there are all kinds of cultures all over this country that any female relative who's not like your sister or grandmother or mother just becomes aunt or auntie or whatever. I mean, it's easier than saying, this is my, what was it? It was his father's cousin. So that would make
which would be by definition an aunt, but I'm saying even not a blood relative.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
I can tell you from my own experience. I mean, there was only one time that one of my parents' friends said, "You don't need to call me aunt," and she said, "Call me Mrs. Robinson."
You naughty boy!
I mean, look. It's true in the Arab culture. In the Arab culture, my godparents were aunt and uncle, and you know, if you know the family, you're a cousin or an aunt or an uncle. It's affectionate. It's just how people operate. So I don't, I think this is kind of silly, and I don't think they're being very successful about going after them. It looks like
I think now it's diminishing returns. By the way, I hope that siren isn't Kash Patel coming after any of you, because breaking news.
Those big eyes, Marty Feldman, and a weird,
My favorite thing that came out about Mondani this week is that he was a rapper named Mr. Cardamom for a while.
Mr. Cardamom, the spice?
Mr. Cardamom, yes. Okay. And, because his mother is Mira Nair.
Yeah, Mira Nair. She's the director.
Right, and so he has this music video with Madhur Jaffrey, the director and cookbook writer, and he's Mr. Cardamom, and he shows they said, oh, he was a rapper. There is nothing cuter that you will ever see in your life than Mr. Cardamom's video. You got to find it.
So full disclosure, I know Zoran's father. He's a professor of anthropology at Columbia, Mahmoud Mamdani. I mean, one of the most urbane, chilled people you'll ever want to meet. Just wicked smart. And from what I know, I haven't met Mira Nair, but those who know both of them say that they have just the most fluid, perfect, harmonious banter and vibe. I mean, it is no wonder that Zoran has grown up as well-centered and grounded as he has. By the way, for those of you unfamiliar who are watching maybe outside the Metro Detroit area, Kash Patel, the FBI director, just announced today that the Federal Bureau of Investigations has thwarted, mind you, a potential terrorist attack that was scheduled for Halloween or for Halloween weekend, and that the investigation and the raids were centered around communities like Dearborn and Inkster. Steve.
So I got a phone call from one of our writers at the Detroit News about that specifically, but the way he asked it to me, this was earlier this morning. He said, had I heard anything about there being this big raid thwarting some huge terrorist thing in Dearborn? And I said, no, I haven't heard anything about it. Where'd you hear it? He said, Kash Patel posted something. I said, this came from Kash Patel? I wouldn't believe that the sun's rising in the east if I heard this from Kash Patel. So I'm waiting to hear who these terrorists are. And the big deal that they were making was the house was right next to Dearborn Fordson High School, trying to suggest, I suppose, that they were going to assassinate all the kids as they came out of the high school. I don't know. But as soon as he told me that Kash Patel, I said, well, that means nothing. And he said, yeah, he talked to another lawyer right before me who had said the exact same thing. So,
Steve, you sent around that excellent piece by Sally Jenkins about the NBA gambling poker mess that came out, I believe it was last week. Right. Could you summarize that? Because I think that is a really interesting look into the Kash Patel FBI.
Well, what she basically did, she's a terrific writer. Sally Jenkins
excellent,
is a great writer. She actually went into the weeds and looked at the facts and looked at the dates and when any of these things were supposed to happen and how often did they happen and this and that and the other. And she basically blew away their entire, $7 million. Where'd that come from? Chauncey Billups was supposed to have done such and such while he was the coach. It turns out, in fact, he wasn't the coach at the time. That he wasn't even working for the league at the time. She just went piece by piece, and kind of like you have to do with everything that comes from this administration. And what we've all been saying, not just today, but for quite some time, is they bombard everybody with such a huge amount of bullshit. And I agree with Bill 100%. The regular media is cowering for some reason in front of him. A lot of the people in the media are cowering. And so all this bullshit comes out. And for a regular person who doesn't know anything, let's say, about the NBA or about the schedule or whatever, they just go, oh, okay, yeah, what a big deal this is. And
Well,
she just destroyed it.
Yeah, I mean, he said she didn't say it was a nothing burger, but she didn't say it was a something burger. I mean,
Right.
it's basically. I mean, he goes out there and he says, "This is the insider trading scandal of the NBA," which is a very quotable line. It ended up in all the stories, the insider trading. But when you look at the actual indictment, she said it's very thin.
And
There's just not a lot there.
I've been telling people in the gym who they've asked me about that. I said, look, you want to find out that they fixing games? Watch one. Watch the Pistons when they play. You want to see guys get the shit knocked out of them? If they're fixing games, they're sure doing it in a stupid way. Cunningham drives to the basket and 5 guys hit and knock him on the ground. Everybody is playing hard. So.
Yeah.
Well, I lost a bunch of money on FanDuel because I bet that the pitcher was going to scratch himself after the 3rd pitch, not the 4th pitch. So
nice prop bet, though.
Yeah. By the way, and I must say this as an editorial, I find that this year's World Series is as exciting as the very first one I remember watching when I moved to America, which was 1975's Boston Red Sox Cincinnati Reds series.
Cincinnati Reds.
It is just electric.
I remember that. And go Jays. I mean, go Blue Jays.
Interesting.
Players, yeah.
The Dodgers have the #1 biggest payroll, I think $350 million.
By far.
Blue Jays are number 5.
Toronto's 17th. 17th.
No, Toronto's 5. Detroit is 17th. The Tigers are 17th, I think.
Maybe if you do the currency conversion, Steve,
right,
that's
30% off, and then you're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bill, sorry.
No, actually,
Bill.
Go ahead. It was on an earlier subject. Just move ahead. We're getting
The question is moot. Okay. Well, Attorney General Dana Nessel has joined 24 other state attorneys general in suing the Trump administration for its suspension of SNAP benefits because the government shutdown is now reaching 1 entire month. Where do we see this going? I mean, right now there are a lot of anxieties regarding air travel. There are airports which have now started to implement ground stops after a certain time of day. Orlando, I believe, International Airport stopped after 6 p.m. for at least a few hours. At what point are we getting to the tipping point? By the way, someone just said that yes, well, she said 17th. Or 17. Oh, I see what she's saying. A reference to the band Winger and the song 17. Well played. I didn't know about regarding the payroll. I thought someone was going to resolve that for you. But the fact that the government shutdown is continuing, and now we have these lawsuits that are being filed. Governor Whitmer is trying to find some money to go ahead and redirect toward food programs. How much is the country going to take, Bill?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is a great example of the Stephen Miller, Donald Trump plot. In all the other shutdowns that have occurred in our history, SNAP has never been affected. They found a way to keep SNAP going. People who may not know, SNAP is what feeds the poorest of the poor in this country.
It's essentially what we used to call food stamps.
Right.
Yeah.
Supplementary incredibly nutrition. Important.
Yeah,
incredibly important. It a lot of student lunch program money. There's a lot in SNAP, and they've made the decision. Let's go after programs that the Democrats like. We'll make it painful for people that support Democrats, so that the Democrats will cave. And that's what's going on here. They could fund SNAP. They've got ways of finding money from other things and funding SNAP. They've done it in the past every time, and they're not doing it now.
Don't cave, Democrats. Do not cave on this.
I agree. They should not cave.
Yeah, cave on this.
But Bill, it seems as though there's a bit of a disconnect. That I mean, yes, maybe these are programs that are supported by, championed by Democrats, but it seems the impact of the program might actually be, and I don't know what the statistic is, on those who actually voted for this president.
Saeed, I completely agree. If you look at the red states, they get more from these liberal programs. I'm using air quotes if you're listening and not seeing. from these liberal programs. They get way more than the blue states do. It doesn't matter. They still vote for Trump. It's a disconnect between logic and emotion. They vote for.
Can we also make the point that SNAP and other supplementary poverty programs are also a supplement to big corporations like Walmart and McDonald's, which do not pay their employees enough money, even if they're working full time, to live and feed their families. Yep. And so essentially we're picking up the slack for Walmart. And it's easy to say, like when you look at something like McDonald's and say, well, those jobs should be held by teenagers, and teenagers, are fed by their parents. It's like, well, if you've been in a fast food restaurant in the last 20 years, you know that the era of the teenage burger slinger is long over. It's been over forever. I mean, yeah, there's still kids working there, but the people who by and large staff up those stores are adults. And, adults have responsibilities and they have to feed their families. And if they can't do it with the money they make, then they end up having to take a program like SNAP. So, I mean, this is just,
There's two things, Nancy, that you won't find at McDonald's anymore. One is those much, much, much better deep fried apple pies compared to these lame baked ones, and the other is acne among the staff. Yeah. So I think
there's as many seniors. There's as many retirees working McDonald's as there are teenagers.
Do you remember when Walmart used to run the ads of their elderly greeters? Oh my God, it was horrifying. You'd see this like 80-year-old man going, "Hey, welcome to Walmart," and it's like you just imagine what his life was like. But anyway, sorry.
That would maybe been the highlight of his life. The little
exactly. Don't judge.
I'm telling you, don't judge.
I bet you after that job, he went and he threw his entire bottle of blue pills into the Detroit River, Nancy. So, Alan.
I was going to say, it's really amazing that people don't see. I mean, the Republicans put a poison pill in this bill, that being the health care, knowing the Democrats, no way. And so now we've got the SNAP thing, and there's still, I was talking to a friend the other day, and I said, when do people get it? It's like watching, what's the show with the Wheel of Fortune, where you get all the letters except one, and some people still can't figure out the puzzle. It's like, what do you need to do to show people what is going on in this country?
I think that show, by the way, Alan, is called Wheel of Fortune. Just to let you know.
It's the reason when I was in East Lansing working in the Detroit News Lansing Bureau, I had a lazy boy chair, but I was being stubborn. I had a black and white TV, which did not have a remote. And after the news, Wheel of Fortune would come on, and I was too lazy to get out of the lazy boy chair. So I finally had to get a color TV with a remote so I could change it as soon as it came on. Just a little.
Well, Alan, until 1981, the remote control in our home was known as Saeed Khan. So Dad would say, go change the channel. So before we go to our last segment, Alan, speaking of red states, I think you have a video about something that happened in a red state.
Yeah.
It couldn't get any worse than this. God throws a curveball like this one.
Tonight, the urgent search for dangerous research monkeys that escaped from the wreckage of a crash on a Mississippi highway.
We got 21 monkeys that was on this platform on the run.
Here's one of the monkeys right here. There's one sitting right there.
At least 6 monkeys escaping. Officials warning they might be aggressive towards people and were potentially infected with hepatitis C, herpes, and COVID.
Hepatitis, herpes, and COVID. Who are these monkeys hanging out with? Charlie Sheen?
5 monkeys on the run.
Or they were just coming from New Orleans. But
I love the monkey story.
All right, last segment, Alan.
And one monkey's like, I'm not getting caught up in this shit. I'm sweating.
Take me back to the
downtown Detroit. Robert Wells, Schmuck of the Week.
All right, it's time for that segment. And by the way, at the very end, we're going to have a race because it looks like Bill Seikaly is going to try to outrun Steve Fishman to see who's going to be the first to leave the show.
Who's already left. He's got a hard stop,
left.
so let's go with Bill.
Yeah, okay, Bill.
Yeah, one of our favorite people on the show is Stephen Miller, and my schmuck of the week this week is Katie Miller, his lovely wife, who
winning
has become
personality,
threatening people with, "You better check your application for citizenship, and if there's a mistake on it, you better watch out." I mean, this is not. She's not just threatening people who are in the country and aren't citizens. She's saying, if you applied for citizenship and there was anything wrong on it, we're going to go back and look. This woman is really dangerous. She also had this on the Piers Morgan show, a blow up on the Piers Morgan show. But she and Stephen, I understand why they are together. She is my schmuck of the week.
There was a profile of her in some magazine a few weeks back, Bill, that kind of tried to answer the question, who would marry Stephen Miller? And every single woman quoted in it who knew her when it said, nothing about this surprises me. She was always like that. So it just goes to show you, if you're lonely, there's a lid for every pot out there. So,
well, Nance, or Nancy, in every yearbook, there's always that girl most likely to. So,
yeah.
Gotta go. All right.
Supposedly, I feel like I need to add also. Supposedly, she and Stephen were in a throuple with Elon Musk when Elon was living there during the Doge years. So, if you really want to lose your lunch, then imagine those three. You know,
Nancy, this is why Muslims fast during Ramadan, just to avoid meals for this reason.
Are they like in Gestapo outfits, you think, doing like some Nazi thing and come here,
Okay, Steve.
I don't know who you guys said. I was talking to my daughter who's been involved in this long trial. My schmuck of the week is Richard Grinnell, who I understand has something to do with being the head of the Kennedy Center these days.
Oh, yeah.
Washington Post had an exclusive article that tracked they really did a lot of work too. The number of tickets, how low the attendance has been, and this guy Grinnell, well, it was this and it was that and it was that. But they're having a hard time. They showed some pictures in this article. I'll bet the place was 20% full, maybe 25% full. So Richard Grinnell for taking the Kennedy Center, where we had people like Paul Simon, James Taylor, Carole King, me, and turning it into a 25% thing. So you have a bunch of hillbilly singers singing. You're the schmuck of the week, as far as I'm concerned.
The only way they can fill it back up is if they book Bad Bunny, but let's see what that happens. Barb.
Mike Rogers, for his inability to say the word Lapeer. A city in Michigan, he did an interview and he called it Lapeer. No, Lapeer. And so the Michigan Democrats actually did something. So there is a commercial with Curtis Hertel, Abdul, Haley Stevens, Mallory McMurrow, and then a couple people that live in Lapeer. And they went, maybe in Florida, they don't know how to say it. So it's hilarious. So if you haven't seen that, look it up. And Mike Rogers, as usual, just looks like a completely out of touch Florida resident.
Wow.
That should have been done in a beret and a Breton shirt holding a baguette. Nancy.
Oh, well, I was afraid I was going to step on Barb's coattails with this one, but apparently she went in another direction. I'm giving it to John James, who did not show up for yet another Republican debate. This was held night before last, I believe, and just seems to think that he doesn't have to, because he's got tortoise and hare syndrome, where he thinks he's the hare and he's so close to the finish line that he can just like take a nap or something. And meanwhile, I think Ed Sarpolis had the tea last week, which was that the DeVosses are having extreme buyer's remorse and are looking for another candidate to back. I mean, when this race started, it was like it's John James's race to lose. Well, he seems determined to lose it. So there you go. So John James.
The only thing he's got going is that he doesn't have a strong field to compete against it.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, some of these people are complete morons. I guess there's some guy named Anthony Hudson who at the speech or at the debate said he would welcome the National Guard to Dearborn to crack down on all the Sharia law that's going on there. He said, "I'm openly disavowing Sharia law," and
That's
as
does everybody in Dearborn. But
yeah.
okay.
Well, can I just? I know we always go over, and Steve always has to leave quickly, but I just want to say one thing. When I talk to Muslims in Dearborn, they say Sharia law is basically kind of like Jewish law. Like if your wife wants a get after your divorce and you won't give her one, she has the option of going before kind of a panel of rabbis who will listen to both sides and then rule on this stuff. And like when two Muslims are beefing over, say, a business loan, they don't want to take it to Steve Fishman or one of our troika of lawyers. They take it to an imam, and the imam listens to both sides and says, okay, this is, you got to pay him and you got to give him a break or whatever. It's a whole, talk about a nothing burger. That's what it is. So,
well, most people go right down to circuit court and file the papers for the divorce, and that happens. But I mean, I think that this idea of going after a place like Dearborn, which is actually, dare I say, diverse and multicultural,
yes.
And I always like to catch the Islamophobes in their contradiction that they're actually dissing Muslims while eating a shawarma. It's like an anti-Semite eating a bagel and telling you how much they don't like don't like Jews. It's like, okay, keep culinarily consistent, if you will, when it comes to your ideology. Joel.
Okay, I'm going to go. Well, Andrew is such low-hanging fruit, so what are you going to do? But he is an eternal schmuck. The guy, his schmuck went all over him. But I'm going to go back to something that I'm watching. What's happening in Illinois and Chicago with the ICE kidnappings, and they are literally ripping people off the streets without any cause or any warrant to do so. And they continue to cover their faces and hide themselves. And I think they're all schmucks. Again, we're entitled to see the face of government. That's who they are. Our police don't use masks. We don't snatch people off the streets. We're not the SS. Maybe we are the SS, but we're not supposed to be. We don't know who the fuck. We don't know who these people are, what they're as far as doing the arresting, what their credentials are. I guess there's a lot of Proud Boys in that group. There's a lot of felons in that group. The standards are not the highest. You just got to hate certain people. So those are my schmucks. I watch this in disbelief, and what ICE is doing. Even the people who are taking photos or videos, they're arresting those people too, and threatening them. And it is terrifying to watch on the streets of suburbs. And these aren't rapists. These aren't criminals. These are landscapers and maids.
Tear gassed a Halloween parade in Chicago last weekend. So, yeah.
Well, and Kristi Noem has said that they're going to be out there at Halloween. Yeah. And Governor Pritzker, J.B. Pritzker, actually had to say, can we have a suspension of the raids for Halloween so kids aren't freaked out? I mean, the last time I heard about that was the Christmas suspension of trench warfare in World War I. Actually saying, can we stop for a little while? I mean, things have gotten that senseless. Allan.
I'm going to pick one is the U.S. Attorney in D.C., Jeanine Pirro, who apparently has suspended 2 assistant U.S. attorneys who filed the sentencing memorandum referring to the January 6th as a mob of rioters. They've been suspended for putting that in the sentencing memorandum, which is just, the levels of insanity are just crazy. And the other one real quick is, I got an email from YouTube. I have YouTube TV. They're saying that Disney has refused to negotiate a reasonable contract with them, so that anyone who has YouTube TV now will no longer be getting ABC or ESPN. But they're working on it. And I'm thinking, How can you fuck up? I mean, they suspended Jimmy Kimmel. They lost so many subscribers to Hulu. They keep writing me to come on back. Here's a $2.99 a month thing, and and now you've got like things like ABC News, which I watch almost every night. I'm going to change to another channel, and I'll get used to that. So it's just stupidity.
There you go.
Well, I've got a few schmucks here. First of all, U.S. Ambassador to Canada, our neighbors to the south and north, depending on where you live in Detroit, for his F-bomb laden tirade against the Ontario ad, which included former President Ronald Reagan's anti-tariff arguments. Hoekstra just went crazy on this. Never somebody who has ever exhibited measure or moderation. So he's one. Of course, Andrew, no longer Prince of England. Another one I would actually say is
Mr. Windsor.
The Mr. Windsor now. The Biden administration, for what the New York Times has now shown, was a cover-up by the U.S. government in assigning blame to the intentional killing of American citizen Shireen Abu Akleh, a journalist, by the Israeli Defense Forces. Colonel Steve Gabavics actually said that he drafted the report showing full culpability, and the U.S. government buried it. But I have to say that the schmucks of the week have to be the 6 nudists who were arrested in St. Lucie County for stripping down at the wrong beach. Apparently, their destination beach, which was ironically named Blind Creek Ranch, you can't make this up for a clothing optional beach, was closed for renovations. I don't know how the renovations need to go. You need to move the sand around. So they decided to go to the no nudity allowed beach anyway and flaunt, well, themselves. And this includes Daniel Harrison, Donald Knapp, Elmer Quant, Gaetan Lambert, Stephen Marhenke, and Nicholas Ramos.
That's a great group.
Yeah.
Great guys to hang with, so to speak.
I understand from the arraignment that there was shrinkage involved. So
nudists are rarely people you want to see naked.
Oh no.
Never. I don't think it's rarely. I think it's never. Alan, do you remember when
France? I've seen it.
You have to take your eyes out. You can't erase the image; it'll haunt you.
Well, Joel. Fortunately, this was Florida, so several people saw it and jumped into the water for a warm shower. So, yeah.
Do you remember when I did that story on nude runners for? Talk to that guy. I said, "Isn't that painful?" He said, "No."
Moving around.
Well, at Michigan, at the end of the winter term, they used to have the naked run, and it just really wasn't. It just wasn't.
Yeah.
Anyways, happy Halloween, happy All Saints Day. Hope you have a great weekend. Thank you, Bill Seikaly, who left us. He pulled a Fishman on you, Fish, by leaving before
he slid out.
He slid out.
He had a hard stop. There you go.
Yeah. As they said in Usual Suspects, and just like that, he's gone.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve Fishman. Thank you, Joel Sklar. Thank you, Barb Ingalls. Thank you, Nancy Derringer. And thank you, and last word always, Allan Lengel.
Drive home safely and go Lions.
Go Lions.